Hi guys, welcome to another video. I'm here with my feline helper, Tifa-chan, and today we have something pretty special. I think so. So I've been restoring dolls for clients for a while now, and I've kind of not really been advertising it so much. But I've been trying to do a little bit more of that lately. Anyway, a new client has come along, and I'm so excited because it is a Chatty Cathy from the 1960s, and I'm so excited to be doing this girl up. So I guess a little bit of history. So I'm in Ireland and I have never come across one of these dolls. These are an American doll. To be honest, I never really thought I would see or get to, play around with one because, I mean, the chance of actually, importing one here, import fees, the actual fee for the doll, it's a lot. So to say that somebody came along with their own childhood doll for me to try to restore was an absolute treat. And I pretty much shrieked when I opened the box or opened the wrapping she was in because she is absolutely beautiful. Now, she's a brunette. So the original Chatty Cathy came out in, I think, 1959. But then this brunette version would have come out about, 2 or 3 years later. So like 1962, 1963-ish. I'm not entirely sure, but roughly. So this girl is over 60 years old, and I think she looks great for her age, but she does have quite a few issues. Some I can work around, others I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. But look, we'll record the journey. I think it'll be a little fun thing to do. So here we go. So as you can see, her sort of vinyl has absolutely faded, which is a very common problem. I also wonder if she's maybe been in sunlight a lot because even her lip paint is quite faded. Although her eyebrows and things are not. Or maybe it's just the shade over time has sort of just faded away. So we will absolutely be giving her a nice face up. It's kind of hard now, she's lying down, so it's kind of hard to show you her eyes. But I just want to go back over the body first. She's one of the earlier release ones with this sort of hard plastic speaker. Some of the later versions had cloth kind of bodies, which are a bit harder to deal with than these ones. So she speaks, and she is working, but not very well. So I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to do there yet. Basically, it's an old, very old style sort of record player, and it has a big speaker, and by pulling the string, the friction makes the record spin, and the speaker brings out the sound. But we're not there. We're only saying hello at this point. So let's go back to the start. So that's how we know she's like a nice early version with her brunette hair. Also an auburn-haired version, and also an African-American version, which I would love to see because I've never seen one. So yeah, I'd really love to see some pictures of that. So here she is. She's about like 20 inches tall, maybe 18 to 20. So this is how she came. She does not have any original clothes or anything like that. So that's part of my job, is just to try and find her something to wear. Now again, I'm here in Ireland, so trying to get original Chatty Cathy clothes with import fees plus the costs, that's going to be a huge cost for the client. And I don't want to do that if I can help it. I'm going to try and find something sort of size adjacent, because this is going to be played with a lot by her granddaughter. So I really want it to be a functioning toy, and not have to pay like 100 plus for one little dress plus import plus tax. It's a lot, especially when she's going to be played with and loved again. So I will see. I'm kind of thinking like American Girl clothes might be an option, but again, that's in the future. We're just getting our bearings for today. So yeah, apart from the really faded vinyl, which I know some people can dye vinyl, for a girl this old, I don't know if I want to risk doing that. I think what I'm going to do is try to pick some pieces of clothing and outfits that sort of hide the body colour, if that makes sense. And then, by adding some colour, blushing, etc., kind of zhuzh up the rest of her so that it's not so obvious, is what I'm hoping to do. Now, hopes and dreams are one thing, but we'll see where we end up. So let's have a closer look. So she still has her original freckles. She has quite a few marks. Some seem to be kind of deep into the vinyl, so maybe some hydrogen peroxide. I'm going to try other ways first, but we'll see what we can do there. But she has been super loved, which I love to see. Now, anyone who's familiar with Chatty Cathy might be wondering why her head is doing this, because it's not supposed to. So I'm going to turn her over very quickly. or attempt to. Not too quickly, mind you. There we go. So, the owner very, very thankfully has kept this piece, because what has happened, I'm guessing someone has tried to remove her head at some point, and it's a point with these dolls, it happens, like the neck part is very fragile. So this whole section of her neck is basically missing, or we do have it here, so we're going to repair that so that her head can sit up where it should and not sort of collapse down on itself. Her string, it gets stuck quite easily, so we might try lubricating the insides when we're in there. We'll see where we go. Like, I think it's more a cosmetic kind of upgrade, but we'll see what we can do. Because I'm kind of curious as to what I can do, seeing as the head is already partially off anyway. I think I might try heating up the head, removing, and seeing if we can access the body. We'll see. I'm not too excited about, I'm not planning on it, but if I can, I will. Mainly though, we just want to get her looking kind of playable again. So I'm going to stand her up here very quickly so we can have a look at her eyes, which of course are the typical sleep blink eyes. If she would work with me there a little bit, there we go. So they're weighted so that when the doll is lying down, they close, up, down. It's very simple, but it works. Super cute. And you have this lovely blue color. So like, I really can't wait just to give her a little bit of a face up, redo her lips, maybe get some blush on there, clean her up a bit. Her hair is very much intact, so that's great. But we don't need to rehair, which is exciting. She just needs like a good wash, condition, restyle. You can see some of her original color is under there. So she was definitely in, I would guess, like a sunny area for quite a while for this level of fading. So you can see, so we'll do what we can for her. Basically, and apart from that, it's like just a good wash, clean. She's got a lot of marks. I mean, over 60 years, you're bound to accumulate some bit of detritus. Makes sense. So yeah, again, just she needs a wee bath. Bottom of her footsies. See if we can get that off, hopefully. I don't know, it's a paint marker, but we will see. So she's a lovely doll, really she is. And I'm just going to show the markings on her back very quickly. Yes, because I didn't do that a moment ago. So we have Chatty Cathy, patent pending, and then Mattel. So of course the seal, the stamp. And I'm so happy they kept this, because trying to build this back up with anything else would have been a bit more difficult. Always doable, but when you have the original pieces, it just makes life so much easier. Some more markings. She does have, oh yeah, she does have a lot of separation on the body, which is maybe actually a good thing, because I do know that the body has to come apart in 2 sections to actually get in there. So if she is already quite split, then I'm not causing any damage by doing so. It's already doing it. Yeah, so we'll see. So there we go. Here we have just our before. So the next, or I should say the first thing on the list, is to get her nice and washed, which we're going to do right now. Okie dokie, so we have found clothes that fit. I'm so excited. So somebody made a suggestion to me of American Doll clothes. Now, me being in Ireland, American Doll, you find the odd one, but there's a version here, I think it's Our Generation. So it's kind of like the more popular, same-sized doll here. So I found some just little Our Generation pieces and bits, and they actually fit. So I'm delighted. So she's got tights that hide the kind of different cover of her legs. The sleeve of the arm is a bit longer, so it's not like dark to light. The shorts, I'm not sure about, but at least I know now we have options. Like the dress, it looks a little bit more like a top, which is fine. With the shorts, that's kind of good. So at the very least, I won't be handing her over naked, which is an absolute win. Now, I did get some Our Generation shoes, but her feet are too big for those. So we'll go back to the drawing board for the shoes. But now I can take off the clothes and finally get working on the actual doll. So her poor head was just barely hanging on. So yeah, we're left with the body, and as you can see now, you can see what's missing is this lip, which is really needed to hold the head into position. So I'm absolutely delighted that the owner kept this piece. We will absolutely fix that. So basically the body is kind of cracked open most of the way down along anyway. So I'm going to get my trusty blade, and we're going to go down a little bit further on both sides and take this Easter egg apart. Okay, we're in on one half, which was mostly cracked already. As you can see, we just had to basically cut this little piece here, which was sealed. This other half is a lot more, it's more intact, but basically trying to show this while recording with one hand is a bit difficult, but and you can see there's already like a lot of glue lines here, so by gluing it back together later we're not damaging or adding anything bad to it because it already looks that way. So what we're basically doing is very gently scoring away at where the glue is. And see, I've started here, you can kind of see, and just very gently up along and then wiggling and then up along again until this side also opens, and then the legs and arms will be free. And just like that, we are in. Da, 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 da. So this is the inner workings. So the string comes out the back end like so. We're going to have to open this top. Even if we just clean it a bit, I'll be happy with that. But if we can improve how it works, even better. With the first wash, you always like really hot water. And you can see the difference already. We've done one leg and one arm compared to the other two, which are not yet done. Our head has had a first wash. There's going to be many until the water basically comes out clean. But yeah, I always think it's very satisfying when you can already see the difference. So after doing a bit of research, because I wasn't expecting to find such a bulky case, it turns out that this is one of the very early or kind of prototype models where the inner workings were encased in this solid piece of plastic, which they quickly did away with that idea because obviously that's kind of pretty much impenetrable unless you have like a saw and want to destroy it basically. So most of the dolls that have this are actually cloth fronted ones. This one is not. She has the plastic front. That's why I wasn't expecting one of these insides, but we are here. Sadly, that means that I cannot fix the insides. Or to put it in another way, I could saw it all around here at the very top, replace the O-ring, clean the speaker, clean the record, make sure the pin is straight, all that. The problem then would be getting this part back on because this needs to be balanced on both sides. And that seems to be where most people get trouble when they try to do this. There's a reason they scrapped this design pretty quickly, unfortunately. But it's all good, like you say. She's quite grubby on the inside as well, so I'm going to give everything a good clean. I won't be getting any water here, just a good wipe down. I'll be cleaning everything else. These guys have had a few rotations now. They're looking nice and clean. She's had 2 shampoos, 1 conditioner, so letting her kind of rest there while I do this. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed I can't fix it fully, but it does somewhat work. So I'd rather see it working and do nothing than to do something that will destroy part of her and possibly not have her working at all in the end. I would much rather keep her the way she is. So there's the update there. Clean, clean, clean. So much cleaning. Alright guys, so I couldn't really record myself doing the last part because I had my gloves and everything on. So basically, all the stains I could find, I've put some 40 volume or 12% peroxide on. So basically the thing that gets used to bleach hair. It's not really something you want on your hands. It's quite a strong chemical, so be very careful. Also, be well ventilated if you are using this. So basically, yeah, all the marks on her face and arms and legs are kind of, I've put sort of good blobs of the hydroxide on there. So now, yeah, the cling film is to make sure that the paste stays wet, because if it dries out, you're going to have to reapply it and reapply it. It needs really to be wet to work its magic. The only downside is that it reacts with sunlight. And because I'm living in Ireland, I mean, we have sunshine, but we don't really have, like, we're not really known for our, abundance of sunshine. So I'm just going to leave these on the window, let the UV rays hopefully do a little bit of magic. Even if they take some of the marks down a bit, I'll be happy, especially on her face. There's a lot of kind of already very faded marker marks and above her eye. Even if it takes those down a little bit, I'll be happy. I don't want to go too mad. Her makeup is already completely faded, so it's not going to cause any damage. It can only improve her, really. It will either improve the situation or leave it the same. So nothing to lose, everything to gain. So we're going to check in a while, maybe give it a week, a few days anyway, and then we'll see how she turned out. I saved any strands that came off during washing and brushing, and I now have enough hair to fill a few plugs in with. I'm doing it the old-fashioned way with the needle because I really wanted to put a knot on the inside of the head so it won't get turned out. I don't want to fill her head with glue. So yeah, that's actually very handy. So I've kept a lot of the little hairs, and so that's going to be a perfect match. Perfect! Alright guys, we are intact once more. We are still missing a little chip here on the neck and here a little bit, but I'm hoping that our head will go on properly without having to fill in this little piece. If it does, then I'll just have to find some plastic to kind of melt in there, but if we can get away with not doing it, that'd be great because she does have a very stable neck now, so fingers crossed. So I'm going to show you her sides a little bit there now. Sorry, trying to do this on camera is not so easy. Her sides have been filled back in. I've used two different types of glue, one to kind of stick the pieces together and then one to kind of fill in any cracks. It's like a silicone based one, so then I filed it down and I've paint matched it as best I can. I think it didn't do too badly. It doesn't look worse than it did when, before. So yeah, there's like one or two very rough edges, but they were kind of there anyway, and you really can't notice them like unless you're looking for them, which is the main thing. She's back together and she's clean on the inside and the outside, so I'm pretty happy with her. Next it's onto her head. Her hair is in curlers. Yeah, we're going to try to do something with her face today with soft pastels, maybe trying to get some color back, so we shall see. I also have a different new outfit for her, which I'm very excited to put on the body, so yeah, today is a good day. Alright, so you can see we are having some really nice success with what I kind of call it tinting. So basically, I put one layer of just a clear primer on the face. You do need some type of primer because if you're going to try to tint the skin, anything you put on there needs something to sit on. So you need just a very, very quick, very light layer of something, and then you build on it. So what I use for things like this are just soft pastels. These are the ones I always use. So you're going to want to mix up your own skin tone, which is easier kind of said than done. It takes a little bit of, what do we say, playing around with colours and things. A nice soft stroke brush, like so. One that you can kind of feel like a bit of an excavation sort of archaeologist with when you're dusting off the remains. So, yeah, I just take out some colours. What I do is then I'll put some powder down. I'll mix it up. And this is how a lot of things like lipsticks, shades and things are actually kind of designed. So you're going to want to play around with your colours. So those colours came together for a nice flesh tone. Probably going to add a little bit more white in there, but I'm just trying to show the process of what I do. So I have my little teacup or egg cup over here. I just put like a little drip of water. Oops, just the tiniest bit. So there's just a little bit, just so I can see what the colour is. That's a little bit peachy. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit, maybe white, maybe yellow. Basically until I get a tone that I'm happy with. So what I do then with it is I'm just going to, here we go. So basically I've already done a few layers. You're going to add another layer on top very gently. And you're going to let that dry completely. In a couple of hours, you're going to come back. Your doll's face is going to look really dusty. You're going to take your then dry brush and you're going to get all the excess off. So the colours will have tinted the vinyl, and you'll have all of the excess powder gone. So it's a really good way of doing it without causing any kind of damage or anything. So you can see there's like all these faded areas are already starting to match nicely with the rest. It's never going to be perfect, But like you can see up here, like we're getting there. We're getting a little bit of colour back to her face. I'm probably not going to do this with her arms and legs. Most of the clothing I've picked for her actually covers that, so I might just do her hands. We'll see. The face is really my main kind of worry, I suppose. So I'm really glad that, you know, this works out. Sometimes it depends on the doll, what they're composed with. Older vinyl actually tends to take on tints and colours really well, I find. Sometimes the modern dolls, it kind of depends. So yeah, anyway, basically, look, we faded as much of this as we could. There is always going to be a bit left. I think it's just too ingrained in the doll, and I don't want to put more and more chemicals on her. But that's okay, because like this doll has a lovely history. So I'm just going to pop a little bit on there. Sometimes I'll put a slightly darker tone just where there are these marks, like here as well. So then over time, when I go to brush this off later, it just gives a nice kind of an under layer for the next layer to sit on. And it helps with that, even out that lightness, so that by the time you get to do another layer and another layer all in one color, you're kind of working with a somewhat even base. So I find that works for me anyway. So I just dap it on. What you can do then when it's partially dry, just get like a little cotton pad, get a nice piece, and you can just, you don't have to do this, but it just kind of helps in the long run. I find it just speeds up the process. Very, very lightly dab away any excess moisture. So you're left with kind of just the powdery layer, I guess. It's going to look bumpy, you know, blotchy. That's okay. All that's going to dry out, and all that extra dust you're going to basically brush off with your brush, but you are leaving the tint behind, and that's what we want, is just to put that little bit of color back in the vinyl. So yeah, it's time consuming, because you probably are going to need to do a lot of different layers. But in the end, it's really worth it. Like, it looks a bit rough at the moment. There's different colors going on, but have patience, keep at it, keep mixing your skin tones until you find something you're happy with. It doesn't have to be perfect. Your last, you know, few layers are where you're really going to want to try and get everything to one color. But for what's underneath, you want to try to just balance areas. So all of this being super light, I'm kind of using a darker tone. Around, I'm using a slightly lighter version, so more kind of white and yellow. And yeah, that's basically how I kind of retint the face. So you can see it's already drying out there. I'm going to go ahead and add another bit in. So by the time, I'm going to do the whole face actually in this layer as well. By the time I come back later, it's a new layer, and yeah, it's going to hopefully in the end look really nice. She's in one piece after however many years of having a broken neck. I'm so happy. I did a little bit of tinting on the arms and legs, just around the knees and things, just because it's a harder plastic. There wasn't point, you know, I just did like a rough, but it's just enough to take off the deathly white color. Working on the face, so we're looking pretty good. Need a bunch more layers, of course, and it's looking a little bit orange, but that's okay. That's the pigment. We're going to lighten that. Obviously, her hair is curling. Fringe will be one of the last things, but we are in one piece. Bum, bum, bum. Here she is, all done and dusted. Another happy doll after her owner. Her hair is ready. I tried to give it that typical kind of style of the time with the curl fringe, the kind of flat top with the curls around the back and sides. Don't know if that's showing up very well, but yeah, you can kind of see it there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that now, considering she kind of has more of a face again and a bit of color. Thank you guys for watching.